We're live. We're live. We're live on YouTube and Facebook.
All right.
We're live on
Oh,
Instagram.
no, we're not yet.
We're not live on Instagram. We're live over here.
We're live.
Woo!
Hello,
right.
everyone. Happy Wednesday.
Happy Wednesday. How is everybody doing? How is everybody doing?
How we doing?
So we're gonna start off the conversation with a topic of organ meats. We're gonna talk about organ meats today, the organ meats that we know and love and eat on a regular basis. You want to start, Crystal? Crystal has a massive aversion to red meat in general.
Yeah.
Particularly organ meats, but organ meats are the powerhouse. So, what have you done to get in more organ meats?
All right, so yes, as Robert said, I am terrible at getting in my organ meats, and it is something that I'm really working on trying to get in. I've done the liver pills where you like cut it up really small, put it in the freezer, and then just try to swallow it. It doesn't work for me. I haven't actually tried like liver just like cooked. I've had a little bit of heart and things like that, but my favorite way, and it actually works, is to do...
Real quick, by the way, for all of you on Instagram, we also have YouTube and Facebook over here.
Yeah.
So if Crystal's not looking at you, that's why. But we're talking to both y'all.
Fair. So my favorite way of getting in my organ meats is liverwurst. You guys, it is the best ever. I was quite shocked. I used to cook it for Robert during his prep, like every day. And I always just thought, like, that looks disgusting. Why would I want to eat that? It is so good. My favorite way of doing it is by just slicing it. It comes in like this big tube if you get it from US Wellness Meats. It comes in like a little tube, and then I just slice it. So it's like these cute little...
Cute.
Yeah, they're cute. They're like little, what are those? Sliders? They're almost like a little burger slider. So I just make them real thin, about an ounce each. Pop them in the air fryer, and they get a little bit crispy, and like the flavor is just so powerful, but it doesn't taste overly powerful with like weird organ tastes. But there's like liver, heart, just regular ground beef. There's some seasonings in there. It's very clean, but it's super easy to get in. And I also like to melt a little bit of cheese on top. Today I put a little bacon in there, put the little slider, then bacon, then melted the cheese on top, and it was so stinking good.
Yeah, it is pretty good. When people have an aversion to organ meats, it's often because they don't like the taste and the texture. Because like when you like have heart, for instance, heart is more of a muscular organ meat than like liver. And honestly, like heart texture is not too different from normal muscle meat. So most people don't want to have an issue eating heart. Especially if you like eating meat. Stuff like liver and kidney, oftentimes if you blend it up with like ground beef or something like that, then you can ground it in such a ratio that you can't even really taste the organ meat, especially if you put a lot of seasoning in there. We just published a recipe on organ meat burgers that's totally, I mean, you would never know that you're even eating organ meat.
They're really good.
Yeah, they're super tasty, super simple. And kidney is a little bit tricky because kidney to me just tastes like urine, and I've never really been a fan of eating urine. So I don't love most kidney recipes unless I do dilute it like that. With liver, I kind of like liver. Like I love the liver crisp, the dehydrated and the freeze-dried liver crisp. Most people probably don't love those, but I freaking love them.
I do not.
Yeah, I can literally binge on freeze-dried or dehydrated liver crisp.
What is the one brand that I was okay with eating though?
Carnivore Aurelius, I think.
Carnivore Aurelius. Aurelius.
Yeah, he just came out with one that it's got like an onion. That's the one.
Oh yeah, that's right. Like that was not that bad. I could totally eat that one. It had like onion flakes on it or something. Yeah, it was pretty good.
But if you start like, and there's tongue, which I wouldn't really consider tongue organ meat.
We've had that.
Tongue is just another muscle in my opinion. I mean, it tastes really good though. It tastes kind of like if you shred it up, if you boil it and then shred it up, it's like you're eating pulled pork in my opinion. I like it. And then what are some other really good organ meats that we tend to eat and incorporate? People are going all into their organ meats. They're getting like I kind of like mountain oysters, which is calf testicles. I've had turkey testicles; those are pretty good too.
Yeah.
A lot of people are just totally. A lot of people don't like organ meats because they know that it's not normal meat. Um, it's got a different taste. It's got a different texture. But like
Right.
if you don't think about what you're eating when you're eating it, and you just appreciate it for the taste and texture that it is, it's actually not too bad at all.
Yes, I am totally one of those people that is like, ugh, I'm eating a liver right now. Like that's so gross to me. Like think about all the processes that like a liver does, and you're like, oh, it kind of just grosses you out. Well, I was eating my liverwurst today, and I was trying to think like, I'm eating heart and liver right now. And I was like trying to see if I would have a reaction. And honestly, it tastes so good that I did not have a hard time with it. So I kind of challenged myself with that one, but it was really good. I think so. Do you want to talk about like why we would eat organ meats? Like why you would do that?
Well, there's a couple reasons. The micronutrient density, the nutrient density, and all the vitamins and minerals that you're getting in organ meats is obviously a massive plus. I mean, it's much more of a superfood, especially by calorie, than most other foods out there. But I honestly eat a lot of organ meats more so, not more so, but also in tandem because from like an ethical standpoint, like as a hunter, as a conservationist, I want to know that I'm eating the full animal. That just makes sense. Like if I kill a deer, I want to know that I'm making use of as much of that deer as I possibly can. And also like there's so many like ribeyes, for instance. Everybody loves a good ribeye steak, but there's so many other cuts on that beef cow, and to see that just like not go to waste because it winds up getting sold to oftentimes third world countries or made into dog food. It's not really getting going to waste, but I feel like it makes sense to appreciate all different parts of the animal for what it is. So that's
Like
kind of my stance on it.
Bone marrow and things like that a lot of people just like toss it out. There is huge benefits, huge health benefits to having it, but also there's huge benefits to like making sure that you're using the whole animal as well.
All right, so I have some of these questions here. So Randall J says, I get custom grind mix from my butcher. That is the way to do
that
it.
would be
He needs to place another order, actually. That's the way to do it. The only thing about butchers, I do my own processing, and I've heard horror stories of like people that take a deer or a cow to a butcher, and if you know your butcher, it's probably not an issue. Like if you're really close with them, but if you just take it to a general butcher, they oftentimes like you. There's no way to know that you're actually getting your animal back, as opposed to just the next one they had in the lineup. So I don't like that aspect of it.
Means.
Save. I don't know.
I'm gonna keep going. Hello.
Paul Saladino has his organ supplements. If you can't eat it, if you just can't eat it, yeah. I mean, the desiccated organ supplements are super popular. Yeah. And honestly, like
I used to take those before I started eating liverwurst, but you're so much better off eating the actual animal.
Yeah, I agree. But if you're not going to eat the actual animal, then that's better than nothing for sure. Yes. Got to brine the kidneys. Yeah, that'll definitely help with getting rid of the urine.
Brewing Keto said, just have to cook the piss out of the kidney.
That's a good way to put it. Cindy Molina says, I used to manage to eat organ meat and burger, but stopped as I have too much iron and I got afraid. I still eat sardines with skin and bones, though.
That's good.
Yeah, there's been this like big debate right now in the carnivore space about vitamin A toxicity from too much liver, which has been kind of interesting to see. It's interesting to see what people fight about. It's like, you're eating liver, and you can overdo liver. You can overdo anything in life. But I can't imagine a lot of people are just binging on liver.
Yeah, it's a good thing to keep an eye on your iron, though, especially if that's like a tendency for your body.
Yeah,
that's for sure good. Hey guys, watching y'all while I'm driving because traffic is AIDS. Is AIDS?
Traffic is bad. Is that means? Yeah, traffic's the worst. I hate traffic. Randall says, because you're busy and have to delegate your vegetable processing to an animal. There you go. I like that.
That's a good answer. All right. So have been mostly living on organs since 2019. Little to no liver as it is high in histamines. Yes, it is.
Yeah.
I am blind. I'm very sorry for anyone who is watching me squint time after time trying to read these comments. I am waiting for my glasses to come in.
Yeah, you're gonna look studious with your glasses.
Yeah, I won't have to like squint to give myself more wrinkles.
How often should you eat them? Once a month, once a week for optimal benefit?
I eat them a couple times a week.
Yeah, it just kind of depends. It depends on the organ meat too. Like with this vitamin A toxicity, it probably doesn't make sense to binge on liver in large quantities every single day. I mean, think about what I've heard as a pretty good representation is you look at the organ meats in the animal. Like you look at a cow, for instance. You know, there's not a whole lot of mass in that entire cow that is organ meat mass. There's a lot of muscle meat mass, but not a whole lot of organ meat mass. So if you're going to eat one whole cow, maybe it makes sense to kind of have that ratio partitioned out throughout the whole course of that cow so that you're not going to just, you know, for every 3 bites of muscle meat you eat, maybe you have 1 bite of organ meat or something like that would be probably a pretty good representation.
I was eating like 1 to 2 ounces every day, but then I changed it. Like today I had 4 ounces of the liverwurst, which felt great. But I don't feel like I have to eat it every single day, but I do try to get like at least 1 or 2 ounces every day. And whether I eat it every day or like condense it into one day. So like today I ate 4 ounces. That'll get me covered for like, 2 to 4 days, if that makes sense. And then I'll have it in a couple of days and so on and so forth.
I'm getting grass-fed and finished beef from local farms. I haven't gone hunting yet, but we'll be picking up a shotgun to try to go duck hunting. Problem is I don't know anyone who hunts ducks. Duck hunting is amazing. Where are you located though? Because that's going to definitely play a part in the duck hunting. Like some parts, like Arkansas, for instance, Stuttgart, Arkansas is like the duck capital of the world. So that spot in Arkansas is great for duck hunting. But you go over to the western side of the state and you don't hardly see any ducks. So it's all about location with duck hunting and their migratory patterns. Why not get LASIK?
Well, I've only worn glasses for like 2 years, 1 year, 2 years. So 2 years. Ever. I've only worn glasses for 2 years, and I like my glasses because I can take them off and put them on whenever I want. I like that they're going to have the blue light blocking in them, and you don't get that with the LASIK. But I don't feel like my eyesight is bad enough to get LASIK, and I'm sure eventually someday I'll get tired of wearing glasses and maybe I'll get contacts or something, but I just lost my glasses, so I just need new ones to come in. And I would rather not have to go through more surgery to my body, like, put my body through more than it has to, if that makes sense.
Are you guys going to be at Keto Summit Omaha in August? We haven't officially confirmed that we are, but I plan on seeing you there. Brandon Knight says, hi, everybody. What's up, Brandon?
What's up? Just finished my final jury of the semester. No more studio now. I just have my tech exam due tonight, and I'm free.
That sounds amazing. Nice.
I feel much more nourished on hearts and muscle meat. It has greatly helped me manage my
MTHFR gene, heal my brain, manage nerve pain with great nutrient density, and provide abundant energy for sports.
Apparently, Robert didn't like my reading.
I can read farther. I'm farther away from you and I don't have to squint.
With LASIK, you have to get it redone like 3 years, I believe. Oh, yeah, that's not worth it.
I've heard of a lot of people like rocking LASIK and it being perfect. Other people like have horror stories with it.
Yeah, I've heard both, and I don't know. My
in Arizona.
My sight is not that bad, to be real honest. Like, it's really not that bad. But I don't know. I just don't want to have to do like surgeries and all the things. I just don't want to. But
I think your sight's more bad than you think.
I think your grammar's more bad than you think.
Sometimes my stomach has trouble digesting food. Do you recommend any digestive enzymes? If so, what do you use? I don't really use digestive enzymes. I don't know where you're at in your health journey. A lot of times people will start keto. I don't know if you're just starting keto. I don't know really where you're at in keto, but a lot of times people will start keto and that, increase in dietary fat, their body's not used to that. So a lot of times people they're under their stomach acid production is not familiar with that. So they need to upregulate that. But in the interim process, while their body is adapting, a lot of people find benefit in temporarily supplementing with stomach acid. Basically, it's HCl and then bile salts. So HCl and bile salts, that may help a little bit with the digestion. As far as digestive enzymes specifically, I don't personally supplement with any of them.
Yeah, I have like probiotics that I use, or like even like a yogurt probiotic, or just keeping in like sauerkraut and bone broth and things like that is all great for your stomach. I have always had stomach issues. Not always. I have for a long time had stomach issues. And I actually would have a super slow digestion. So for me, it was more eating some things that are soft throughout the day and then eating some meats and things like that as well. But just trying to mix and match those foods so that you can get in really good nutrient-dense foods, but also you can get in things like yogurts, which is going to be a probiotic, and just trying to mix those up to make it fit your lifestyle and help with the digestion. I noticed that bone broth, adding fat to bone broth and things like that was really helpful as well.
Randall says he's had glasses for about the same time and just disliked my glasses enough to get it done, but I understand the reservation. I hate glasses.
That's so funny.
I hate glasses. So I totally understand where you're coming from there, man. I hate glasses when it comes to like when I'm hunting, like I'm looking through a scope and my glasses get in the way. I'm running through the woods and my glasses, I hate glasses.
Yeah, I'm also afraid that my eyes are going to change like as I age, and then I'm just going to have to get it redone. Yeah. But I think it is nice for a lot of people. I think especially for me, because like the only time I really use them is when I'm out of screen or when I'm driving. Other than that, I don't wear them.
Cindy has just purchased her ticket and was hoping to meet you Gouts there.
You Gouts.
We look forward to meeting you too, Cindy.
Yes, we do.
It's a rare occurrence for repeated procedures. That's good.
Oh, that's really good.
I remember when LASIK first came out and everybody was like super scared to do it, but I feel like they've had it around long enough now that they've gotten it pretty dialed in.
Yeah. Sunny said that Kevin was blind before LASIK.
Blind as a bat.
You're lucky my sister is the real life Velma. Not even a foot from her face. Even with LASIK, she would have to wear glasses, just lower prescription. Wow, that is insane.
The real life Velma.
Wow, that's pretty intense.
What is your opinion on coffee or caffeine in general?
Oh boy.
I feel like I've done really good, honestly. I used to consume way too much coffee and way too much caffeine, and I've scaled it back. I currently consume 1 200 milligram caffeine pill, 1 cup of coffee a day, which is probably 100 milligrams of caffeine, maybe 150.
Yeah, I think.
And then a pre-workout, which is a lower caffeine pre-workout. I think it's also 150. So it's probably at about 500 milligrams a day total, which is probably higher than a lot of people. But for me, that's really, really low compared to what I was doing. So I'm good.
Yeah, I suck. But I've been trying to convince myself for like the last week to postpone drinking caffeine in the morning and just having it after my workout. Because right now I'm having like 1 or 2 cups of coffee and a pre-workout before my workout, and that can actually hinder your body's natural rhythm of releasing hormones and things like that. So I'm trying really hard to convince myself to wait to have like a cup of coffee to enjoy until after. Wowzers, that's cool. Robert just changed the screen. Nobody else can see that. Yeah, so I'm trying to convince myself to postpone my coffee drinking until after my workout, which would be probably about 8 in the morning, and then, which is when I would have my first cup. And then the last energy caffeine I would have in the day would be like probably like 1 or 2 p.m. So we did talk about caffeine in one of the prior lives. So you can go and revert back to that. And usually we talk about it within like the first 10 minutes. But yeah.
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 Are any of y'all on Twitter? I've been jumping on Twitter and trying to figure out Twitter. I actually kind of I used to hate Twitter, but what I found, and I may totally change my mind here, I haven't really posted much, but I've been just trying to figure it out. I feel like Twitter, people are pretty brutal on Twitter, so I don't like that. But like with Instagram, with all these different social platforms, like there's these silos that are built, and people just don't ever deviate. Like they just get into their little tunnel vision spot, and they don't really hear outside information. I feel like with Twitter, or maybe it's just because I'm following a pretty broad group of people, but I feel like with Twitter, there's conversation and dialogue happening from all ends of the spectrum, which I kind of like.
I am a very big remove the negativity from your life type of person. And I just feel like Twitter is a whole lot of negativity.
But you don't ever get on Twitter. You don't know.
The only things I've heard about Twitter are all negative.
You got to be the light. Mike says, I got monovision LASIK, which means I only had one eye done for distance and kept the other for close vision.
What? Is that a real thing? You can do that?
That's pretty cool.
You just like close one eye and like go back and forth?
I can only blink one eye. I can't do both. Best way to add calories without fat, trying to reach caloric intake. ATV, the end of the day. What is ATV? All-terrain vehicle.
Best way to add calories without fat, without gaining fat or without eating fat?
Yeah, clarify that. Do you want to add calories without dietary fat or without gaining? I would imagine you don't want to gain body fat, but are you trying to also
at the very end of the day?
At the very end of the day.
I think I got that right.
Let us know if you're trying to avoid dietary fat calories. That'll help us. Randall says, I've had a fairly bad astigmatism in one eye to have to wear them for everything. Also, I really like the look of aviator sunglasses, and I don't want to look like a total dork with aviators over my usual. You can rock it, man.
I have an astigmatism in both eyes, but one eye is worse than the other, so it makes it like real wonky.
I got rid of my Twitter accounts.
Rid.
That's what I said.
Rid.
Robert's
from Arkansas. He got rid of it. I am blind, contacts nonstop. Sunny says, coffee is life, and Kevin loves Twitter. I'm with Crystal.
What is his Twitter? Have him follow me on Twitter. I'm going to follow him back.
Hello from Fort Smith.
Smith.
Hello.
I can neither confirm nor deny that I'm drinking an energy drink as I walk.
That's funny.
That is pretty funny. Eating fat or gaining. Okay, so if you don't want to eat fat, but you want to increase calories, then I would definitely make that come from protein.
Yeah.
I don't know if you've already reached a high dietary fat intake for the day and you just need more calories in general, in which case it definitely would make it come from protein. But don't think that simply having more dietary fat equates to more body fat.
That is very incorrect thinking.
Yeah, that may be the case, but that does not necessarily mean that is the case. We have to go super deep into your macronutrient distribution and what you're trying to do. But yeah, if you're just trying to increase calories without fat, then definitely make it come from protein and not carbs preferentially. So food sources would be a lot of seafood, honestly. Like if you're just trying to do super high protein and no fat, seafood's good. Seafood's got a lot of minerals.
Yogurts are also really good if you want to like add collagen or add protein to it as well. But I will say that fat is very calorically dense. So for every 1 gram of fat, you have 9 calories. For every 1 gram of protein or carbs, you have 4 calories. So you can eat a lot less fat and get a lot more calories than you could like proteins or carbs.
She said, you are right at the very
Yes,
end of
I'm
the
so
day.
good. I'm never good at those.
No, your brain compensates, and I can't tell which eye sees what. Many people get it. That's pretty cool. I didn't know that. It's awesome, actually.
I think he's Kev Boats.
Kev Boats on Twitter. I'll check him out.
Keto Couple 333 says, dang, long time since I've seen y'all's live. Hope you are doing well.
What is up?
We have not been on the Keto Savage because Robert's count got deleted 3 different times. So we've been doing it on the Live Savage Instagram, but now we're back on the Keto Savage.
Did you just get the macro calculator updated? Yes.
The entire website
is brand spanking new. So the new ketosavage.com website is thebomb.com. The macro calculator is mucho better. So definitely give that a shot. Check it out.
Really easily broken down, I feel.
Trying to increase caloric intake and not go over macros. Yeah, so if you've already got your fat macros reached, then I'd probably do some seafood or something, honestly.
but they're trying to increase their calories without going over their macros, so they can't increase the calories.
Then probably swapping out the sources of food that you currently have. I don't know if you've got like all of your food currently figured into My Macros Plus or whatever macro tracker you're using, and your calories are met, but you need more protein. You may just have to go in and swap out some of the fattier options for some of the leaner options. For instance, if your calorie goals met, but you haven't reached your protein, then maybe you've got 80-20 ground beef factored into the macro tracker. Maybe swap that out for 85-15 ground beef. That should definitely help. Randall says, I have to place another order for more bricks. Hopefully the summer won't make them keto puddles. Yeah, I think we're going to be pretty good. Like anytime you order anything like that, you run the risk of it melting. However, we've improved our shipping speed pretty drastically, so that should definitely help. And the main difference is with the new packaging, it's just much better. So even if it does melt, you can just pop it back in the fridge or pop it in the fridge, and then it'll solidify. And it may not look as brick-like, but it'll taste just fine. So yeah, that's one benefit of the new packaging.
We have a question about competition prep stuff.
When is the competition prep manual coming out? Probably at the beginning of the year. I'm writing it now. I'm getting closer and closer towards finishing it. But the competition prep manual will probably be published at the beginning of next year.
What's a good Apple app for your podcast? The podcast app.
Yeah,
the Apple app. Is that cheesy to say?
No, the Apple Podcast.
Okay, that's the only one I've ever used.
Yeah, that's what I use on Apple. Spotify is pretty popular, but if you're using Apple, I prefer the Apple Podcast app.
Yeah.
All right. Wait a minute. I missed one. After 5 C-sections, I really need to strengthen my core, but very intimidated to start working out. Other than my cardio, where do I start? I am keto, lost 70 pounds. Congrats on losing 70 pounds. Core strengthening, having had 5 C-sections. What would you recommend, babe?
First of all, I would recommend doing a full body rather than just focusing on your core. You definitely can focus on your core, and you definitely want to, especially if you're new to exercising. But I would do a lot of different movements that will also help engage your pelvic floor. There's so many different things you can do, but some really, really easy basic beginner movements are going to be like bird dogs. You can do things like dead bugs. You can do planks. There's a bunch of different types of planks that you can do. You can do.
Actually, speaking of the Keto Savage website, there's a tutorial exercise section on there now, and I'm about to add a whole bunch of new exercises to that, and those should be up by the end of this week, probably this weekend. And those are I've got a lot of core exercises in there and body weight stuff.
Yeah.
So you look at that.
Yeah. Anything that you're doing, you can engage your core. So any type of exercise, make sure that you're tightening your core. You're really pulling up on your pelvic floor, and really engaging that. That's going to help you a ton with every other movement. But if you want to kind of start doing a little bit of full body everything, that's going to be really, really helpful. And kind of, it'll just work everything. It'll just kind of get everything toned and kind of ready for whatever you want. But those 3, I would definitely stick with those 3 at the beginning. Dead bugs, bird dogs, and planks.
Sweet. Been wanting to try that. Yeah, definitely give it a shot. Let us know what you think. Randall says, it's not y'all, it's the fact that I live in Arizona.
Yeah.
It's 100 degrees and he's sitting in the shade. That's pretty toasty. Woo! For sure.
Yeah, that is.
Using the Carb Manager app, I'm eating my breakfast and lunch. Come dinner, I will have 1,000 calories still left. So just trying to get an idea of sources that will keep my meals easy.
Okay, so you have a bunch of food. You're just trying to hit your macros, but you haven't gone over your macros yet.
Yeah.
Okay, and I'm guessing the most of it is going to come from protein if they don't want to eat more fat.
Yeah, I would imagine that.
I would first say, with your earlier meals in the day, make sure that your proteins and your fats are pretty even. If you're eating a lot of your fat in the beginning, I'm assuming you're keto. If you're eating a lot of your fat in the beginning of the day, then you're gonna not have as much for your meal later in the day. So what I would do is try to make your protein and fat grams equal with slightly more fat. But a lot of people, what they'll do is just do like a super fatty coffee in the morning, and then they don't have enough fat to equal out the meals later in the day. And then they just have like super high protein meals, which is not going to be the best. You might be able to postpone an earlier meal or feel really energized in the morning with your coffee. But I would just try to distribute out your fat and your protein throughout the day so that you can easily break it down. Yes, keto mail info for my hubby. Sorry, I was trying to figure out what we were, where we were.
Yeah, a good rule of thumb is like anytime you have a meal, try and make sure that the protein grams don't significantly exceed the fat grams. That way, it's just easier from a macro distribution standpoint. Like it makes things much, much easier. And that said, in the reverse, you don't want to have like a super fatty coffee in the morning that makes your later day meals higher in protein than fat.
Right. Yeah. So just find out a really good distribution of like how much protein and fat to have per meal. And that'll make it so much easier to get in those earlier meals and the later meals, because then you'll have like a lot more fun to have with your fat and your protein later in the day.
Jim says keto brick, but I think that's for a different macro. She's wanting to do higher protein. Keto brick's definitely higher fat, but the keto brick is amazing.
Yeah, that would be a really great way to get in an extra 1,000 calories.
Yeah. All right. I'm gonna go shoot the bow.
We need some questions.
Grill a steak.
Question.
So we need a question for next week. So the next question submitted will be the topic that we're going to dive into initially with next week's Q&A. So somebody, please.
Somebody stop me.
Ask us a question.
You know what that's from?
No.
Pretty sure it's from The Mask.
I don't think I've ever seen it.
Somebody stop me.
It's Jim Carrey, right?
Yeah, you don't like him.
Not a huge fan of Jim Carrey.
I feel like Instagram is frozen because nobody said anything.
We're frozen on IG?
I don't know.
What we got over here, y'all? What's the next question? We can just talk. We can always talk about something.
We can always talk about something. We just yap all the time.
All right. Well, I'm going to go shoot the bow. Dream sports car and why it is the Challenger.
That's funny. That was really funny.
The old school Challengers are pretty sweet. I like the old Challengers better than the new Challengers. A Plymouth Cuda, an old school Plymouth Hemi Cuda would be, or the old school Dodge Charger, 1970 Dodge Charger would be good.
What are your favorite other sources of nutrient density besides organs? I just did a video on that.
You did. We can talk about that on the live too, though.
My top 5.
That and help with macros. So we can do help with macros and all that jazz.
Sending lots of love and care.
Yes. All right, y'all. Take care. Toodaloo. Adios. Have a good one. Peace out. See you next time.
Bye.
La 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 la. And that's the question. Talk about macros and achieving our goals, hitting them up. Yeah, we can talk about that. Faux show.
Okay, bye.
All right. Take care.